Hey, what is up guys, Marcy here, back to do another video, and today I've got another demonstration of a strategy I've been working on. I've made this work against GDI factions. I only intend for it to work against GDI factions because it does involve Stormriders. Now, I'm not a big fan of making Stormriders against Nod factions anymore, primarily because Stormriders of course have no means to detect stealth, and that's not going to change. But yeah, you're just unable to harass the Nod Harvesters without supporting Seekers there, which is kind of annoying. Fortunately though, one great suggestion was made by Dune Tiger, and that is to give the Infestation Hive the ability to detect stealthed units. I thought it was a brilliant idea. Maybe it had come from 1.03, so it probably is one of the only good changes about 1.03, well, the ones that I consider good. Nevertheless, that's a great idea, and it might make Stormrider harass work versus Nod. It would be nice to see. But this is what this is going to be all about. It is a one-base strategy. As Reaper-17, you've got to build 6 Harvesters. I feel 6 and 2 is the new 5 and 2 with the Harvester bug fixed. A lot of perks playing Reaper-17. You get a very tanky Harvester even without the shield. The Harvester has more hit points. 25% more health on that. You got a free Tiberium scan as well, which is great for detecting where the GDI halves are. And I'm going to combo this Stormrider strategy with Devourer tanks. So it is a tier 2 Scrin / Reaper-17 thing that you can do. I do prefer it with Reaper-17 because you can upgrade your dev tanks later on if they survive with the Conversion Reserves upgrade, which is an upgrade that benefits Devourer tanks as well. Many people forget this. This is like the most forgotten thing in the game, but dev tanks, they get an upgrade as well. It doubles the capacity of their charged beam, so it goes from 10 shots to 20 shots. 20 shots of that dev tank is insane, guys, absolutely insane. Now, because I've got 6 and 2, I can only support 2 build queues. That's why I've got a War Factory and a Gravity Stabilizer. I want to try and anti-scout this Rifleman, but to be honest, it doesn't matter if I get scouted at this point. Scout comes into my base, so just as you would expect, the Scout is there. Second dev tank is out. I can even use the Icor Seed, but I need these funds to build these units because I have been found out here. I've been sussed. So the Icor Seed, even though it's available, I don't need it at this very instant. I'm going to make just 2 descents here. This is just to force this Pred tank back so my dev tank can kite a little bit better. Because dev tanks, while they are not particularly armored, they've got more range than their GDI and Nod counterparts. Yes, they are very slow, but they have that awesome range, and when charged up, they do a significant amount of damage. Almost the same as a Mammoth tank with those dual cannons, which is a lot of DPS. So dev tank is moving in here. My Corruptor will start to heal that one up there, and you can see these devs are already putting a lot of damage on here. And this is where the combo comes into play. I'm going to try and bait these Pipples near the War Factory. So I'm going to wait until he's near that War Factory with his army, and then I'm going to stasis the Pipples and the War Factory, prevent him from building a response to these storms. So now he can't build slingshots. He is unable to produce off that War Factory. His whole army has been stasis, and now my dev tanks can get a couple of shots off on those Harvesters. Both of them still are alive. I'm going to charge these up just before I leave. More Harvesters at the original field there, and still no response for that one Stormrider I pulled off to counter that Harvester that was in really low health. I'm going to start targeting even more of them. Lightning Spike I'm going to drop just so I can put some extra DPS on this Harvester. Maybe I can get an additional one, but with that War Factory repair, it's likely that it will survive. So that attack could have gone better. It actually went rather well, but that there was unfortunate. Now I'm a little bit disoriented. I did capture that defensive tower, which is what you can do on this map as well. Corruptor's unable to heal that dev tank up there enough, but this dev tank should be able to finish it off. And I'm making a few critical mistakes here, even rallying a harvester to my opponent's Tiberium field. So he's given a lifeline. I have made this game easier for him. So this game will continue. Both of us are pretty much more or less even, because I did make a few blunders there. Pred tank will be sent forward. It's just a singular dev tank, but that can still get overwhelmed. I'm going for the shock trooper transition because I feared because he doesn't have a lot of units. Maybe he's going now into Firehawks, which if I don't have an army already ready to counterattack, then those Firehawks are going to wreak havoc. That's why I'm building these shock troopers. I can even use the blink ability on the shock troopers and get right on top of those Firehawks. A Rav mixed in here and there so I can kill my opponent's refinery when it comes to it. And here it's all about micro. I don't have much of an army here, but I'm going to make it as much use as possible out of this. My shock troopers do get that ever important blink upgrade, so I'm going to be able to teleport these. And in R20, the cooldown for the Scrin and Reaper-17 shock troopers blink ability is less, so you can spam that more often. It's not as low as Traveler, but it's still going to help a lot. Orca Strike misses his mark. I've got 2 more simulators there. I'm not sure why I built those, but I do have those. There's a couple pitfalls over there as well. Refinery goes down to the Firehawks, so this is what he was banking on. Firehawks. And as mentioned, I'm going to teleport underneath these Firehawks, and the shocks will dispatch those on the retreat. Shardwalkers is now my play because he saw the shock troopers. What's his response to those? Most likely hammerheads. Hammerheads trade very effectively against the shocks, so that's why in advance I made a couple Shardwalkers just so I can scare back those hammerheads if he decides to build them. If not, that's fine as well, because they also deal with APCs. Ravagers also do a surprisingly good job against APCs as well. Hauser will be going down there. Another refinery gets taken out. This is just one of those games where you kind of struggle to counter Firehawks. He's also been left to his own devices with that Tiberium. I can use to scan here because it doesn't cost me any resources. My eco is struggling a bit now because he is bombing my refineries continuously, but I want to keep up this pressure. I've just got a singular ref, so I want to rebuild that as quick as possible. Some Pred tanks over there will respond. I could engage those, but he's probably going to have another watchtower ready to drop in front of that tech center. It's a very heavily armored structure. I used the reconstruction drones, which by the way does heal Scrin infantry. It always has done so. And the shock troopers with their 33% additional health will go in for an assault. Double refinery gets dropped there. So I've recovered my eco, and now this attack is coming in. I'm focusing down the watchtowers as quick as possible. Dev tank in the back there. Firehawks I see flying overhead. He's going to most likely head into my base and destroy a refinery, but I'm focusing on winning this fight here with these shock troopers. Shock troopers doing huge damage. This is we've never seen really shock troopers do this much damage before. That's why I really do appreciate the change. I don't regret buffing shocks as much as they have been buffed. That's 33% additional health. They've also got a cheaper upgrade for their disc launchers, $1,000, but it does give the Reaper-17 and Scrin factions the ability to continue fighting without their tier 3. Scrin factions predominantly relied on their tier 3, now can fight with tier 2. But despite that damage with the Stormrider Devour tank, my opponent is still in this game. He's still fighting on. It's very hard for me to take out those Firehawks. So I guess this is another demonstration of what you can expect from a GDI play. This is a very typical thing that you're seeing with the Firehawks straddling in and out like that. That dev tank unfortunately falling there. It has paid off though many times over, because it did go to that veteran status. I had plans to expand with the Explorer, but instead I opted not to, because he's got Firehawks flying all over the place, so it would be just a waste of funds. Now I can't build any units because I have to keep building refineries, because I just keep losing my refineries. I'm gonna drop my refinery there. I just need to put down refs, man. And this is giving me a harvester per refinery. He's not actually killing my harvesters, so eventually I can send all 15 or so of my harvesters to that Tiberium field on the expansions and not ever bother setting up an expansion there. Not much combat units for me, as you can see. He's recovering in this game. Shock Trooper pushing in, and as long as I keep these dev tanks on the edge of this tier field, then I'll be able to deny the harvesting, which is what I really want. If he gets something out like a Marv, I'm in deep trouble. So it's imperative for me to just delay him here as much as possible, take out these units. Those APM watchtowers are very deadly for my shock troopers, so I've got them on hold ground stance so they don't move out of position. They're going to get some healing up as well from those drones. Very good support power for the Scrin factions. And I'm struggling to decide where to put these refineries. At this point I didn't care, because there was no Tiberium left in my expansion. I'm going to leech anyways from those 2 third Tiberium fields, which I can now at this point just send all my harvesters over there. Get more harvesters falling, and these dev tanks on the edge will keep him base contained, and that's really what you want in this situation. The 4 Firehawks have not yet been dealt with. That refinery there as well. Harvesters long leeching Tiberium because he's trying to look at those harvesters, so many of them. And I'm going to get out this tier 3 as well. But yeah, this game here, you can see more or less how it is going. I may play a couple more minutes and then go on to example number 2 of this strategy. You can see how this is going to conclude. I'm going to get my hex pod out and build up defenses near my tech center, and that is basically how this game is going to end. So I'm going to actually call it here, and we're going to go on to game number 2, and I'm going to showcase that right now. So let's go on to that now one. Okay guys, welcome back to game number 2. And yes, I did abruptly end that previous game, but you guys saw how it was going to end. There was nothing spoiled there. Anyways, this is going to be on a different map. It's once again going to be against a GDI faction. Tournament LA. I consider this to be a great map for Reaper-17 because you can charge up your dev tanks in the center with that blue Tiberium field. Also, because you have the fastest scouts in the game, you're guaranteed to capture these garrisonable buildings, which will give you very great sight and vision in the early to mid game. So that's what I'm going to do here. There's a Burger Kong there, taken from Red Alert 3. This map has a few assets from that game. Reaper-17 once more, but you can do the strategy I'm about to showcase as well with the vanilla Scrin. The only difference is you don't have Shard Walkers, and you don't have the conversion reserves upgrade for your Devourer tanks. But I'm going to do more or less the same exact build order as that previous game you saw on Tournament Odyssey, and we're going to see how this plays out in another match. I kept my portal around. I could power it down, power it up later for a stasis shield, because it doesn't really offer me much. I mean, it gives me a buzzer and $300, but it saves me 6 seconds on having to rebuild it again in the future, so powering that down may be beneficial for me. I don't think I even need those funds anyways. I'm not going to stall, so I can afford to keep that alive. I should power it down though, so one thing I can do to optimize my strat here would be to power down my portal. I do it there, but yeah, just small things here and there. And it's good that I'm watching also my game back so I can make adjustments in the future. And like I said in that previous game, 6 and 2 I seem to be having more success with. It just makes 2 production queues work smoother with 1 base. I just feel like it's better. Plus you can transfer the harvesters that you have already built to your expansion, set up your expansion way better and faster. I've got these shard walkers out here mostly to scout what my opponent's doing, because yeah, this can be a rush coming, there can be a rig. An unscouted rig rush is pretty lethal, but that's not going to quite work out for him because I am going for Devour tanks and Stormriders, so if Orcas were to be a thing, I can counter those with the Stormriders. I can even place down a plasma missile battery, which is by far the best static defense against aircraft before tier 3. And it remains to be so even when you upgrade it with that ever so powerful shard launcher upgrade. So I've got the 2 dev tanks out and I'm going for corruptors. 2 Devourer tanks will counter these anti-air units. You can see a couple APCs there garrisoned up with the missile squads. No mutants inside of them, but these Devourer tanks are just going to get tickled by mutants marauders if those were in there. There is a mutant hovel on this map, so nothing is impossible. And much like the previous game, I'm going to wait until I have assembled 4 Stormriders. It takes 60 seconds to do so because they cost $1,500 each. It's a pricey unit, but can be effective when used in conjunction with the stasis shield. So you can trap your opponent's units that shoot against aircraft in a stasis, or if your opponent chooses to not get his units altogether, then the Devourer tanks can pick them off. So there's not much really that he can do. So I see here all his units are around that war factory, and sadly for me there is a bug where rockets can shoot inside of APCs even when stasis shielded. So you're looking at the worst case scenario for me here. I'm going to nail some harvesters, but the missiles inside of those APCs are still firing away at my Stormriders. I really should not have lost a singular Stormrider there. So 2 will remain. I did clean up a significant amount of harvesters, but yeah, that bug where the rockets can still shoot within the stasis probably should get fixed in R21. That is an age-long issue. It would make this push even stronger. But it's promising to see, even when things such as that happen, you can still make some damage happen. And I feel like these units have paid off significantly. One of the Devourer tanks does get destroyed there. 1 remains, and those forces there will be forced to pull back. They're just not in sufficient strength to kill this dev tank. Has a lot of damage. I've got another Stormrider built. I'm going to fly them in. 3 is enough to do some pretty significant damage. Zocom is also naturally a good counter to my strategy because they have the rocket harvesters, and those can shoot aircraft as well. So many harvesters from my opponent, but I think I'm about even with him because I do have a refining as well. Got these Stormriders though, so this is great for me. Orcas out for my opponent. Those are quite an issue. But with that second refinery dropping there, I'm going to get myself a lead in this game. But I also managed to keep around 1 Devourer tank. My Stormriders are still alive. And whilst this is happening, I've been gifted the map control to take this blue Tiberium. You see I've got a harvester there bleaching away at it. Dev tank there will defend my base. And whilst this is happening, I'm going to focus on my tier 3, get that down. The most important thing for me is upgrading the blue shards and the conversion reserves. I want to go for the conversion reserves first, just in case my tier 3 gets sniped, and then my Devourer tanks can get that 20-shot charge, which is really the key here in this transition. Another reason I prefer to make Devourer tanks in this situation is they can dodge sonic emitters. With ample micro, you can move your Devourer tanks out of the way of the sonic. You rarely see this, but it is certainly a thing. More Devourer tanks being queued here. It is just a cheaper unit and faster one for me to produce. So we're going to go get 1 or 2 more of those out before making a tripod. I'm working also on a technology assembler as well. harvesters will be going down. One on that blue Tiberium field getting taken out almost immediately. My 3 Stormriders looking to chase those Zircon Walkers, but unable to catch them. And I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough time to get this Hex bot out, because there are Firehawks on this map. I've got 50 seconds to queue this Eradicator, but he's already got 2 Stormriders, so it's likely that that will not finish. Now in R20 you can use the Storm Column to one-shot kill a Firehawk without ceramic armor. Devour tank there getting taken out, but my Shard Walkers, look how much damage those do. That's another perk of playing Reaper-17. They just have so much damage on those Shard Walkers, specifically against aircraft. They are amazing. I'm going to put the Storm Column in an area where it can cover not just my Warp Chasm, but the refinery surrounding it as well. Some sacrificial Shard Walkers going through that mine drop. You can fuse a buzzer to your units with the Combine Buzzer ability, and those buzzers will detect the mines and allow your Shard Walker to clear them. Technology Assembler does get killed there, so maybe a bit of a mistake on my part not tactically placing my tier 3 where my refineries and Warp Chasm are, so that's possibly something I could have done there. But now I'm stuck on tier 2, but since I've got the conversion reserves on my dev tanks, they're going to be very, very potent. And I'm just going to spam out dev tanks, Shard Walkers, Stormriders as well. He can't go Hammerheads. I've got Shard Walkers. So his only bet here would be to go either Mammoth tanks or Sonic Emitters. We can expect the latter. The Zircon Walkers, I'm microing my dev tanks out of the way so they don't tank all those Zircon Orca projectiles. And now this Sonic Emitter will not be able to cover this full Tiberium field. I'm going to just skirt around there and prevent this field from being harvested. A split from me will ensure those dev tanks survive. I've cast the reconstruction drones as well, and look how many shots these Devourer tanks are able to shoot. I'm going to go ahead and take some more Tiberium there, and these devs are going to be shooting their charged beam for days. With 3 charged Devourer tanks, I'm going to be able to sit here and kill all these Predator tanks, no bother whatsoever. One of the dev tanks falls, but in exchange for his whole entire Predator force. Refinery coming down for me on my expansion, and still charge remains. So it was the one upgrade I could afford whilst I had a tech center, because it only took 30 seconds. And this play here is what is going to make the game snowball in my favor. There's a shock trooper reinforcement coming for me, so if a bunch of Zircon Walkers attempt the same thing again on these dev tanks, they're going to be met with fierce resistance in the form of these shock troopers. Those are going to get destroyed almost immediately. But with the Zircon player unable to harvest from this tip field, and with that tech center going down, that's going to be it. So GG. And that was a strategy that I wanted to showcase with a 1-base Devourer Stormrider strategy. So I hope you all have learned something today. Maybe you want to give it a shot yourself online. I don't think it's too hard to micromanage and execute. But the key is to stasis your opponent's units around the war factory, the ones that specifically shoot aircraft, or if he decides to split his units up, then just stasis one part of it and kill the rest of your Devourer tanks. There's all sorts of combinations and ways that they can go. But I think it has potential, this strategy, and I look forward to using it again in the future. But for now, I want to show you it now, and we'll see how far I can take it. So yeah guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button. I'd really appreciate that. And thank you to all my Patreon members for supporting this channel. Thank you to everyone who have been doing that. Anyways guys, this is me, Master Leaf. Peace out.